Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here from the Raiders Report, and we got some news to discuss. Unfortunately, yet again, Brandon Parker is done for the season. He suffered an injury in the 49ers preseason game or before the game, and now is done. The Raiders moved him to IR, and he will no longer be able to play this upcoming season. The reason why I say again is because it's unfortunate, because last season, also in August, Parker suffered a triceps injury, which put him out the entire season. So coming up here on today's show, I'm going to tell you about the other move that the Raiders made today, because they went out and they signed a wide receiver / cornerback, and he was on the team last season. On top of that, the Raiders worked out 5 players on the defensive line. So I saw this news break from my guy Tristan, which some of y'all know him as Raider Scout on IG. I don't know what IG has against Scout, though, right now. But Tristan said that the Raiders have placed offensive tackle Brandon Parker on IR. Parker suffered a season-ending injury versus the 49ers in joint practices, which gives Dalton Wagner an inside edge for that 4th tackle spot behind Colton Miller, Jermaine Illuminor, and Thayer Munford. And I kind of think it's funny that he mentions this, and I 110% agree with it, because for those of you watching live, and for those of you that aren't watching this live, I got some players on the hot seat, and one of the players I'm going to be putting on that hot seat is Justin Herron, because he was really one of the biggest losers from that Raiders preseason game against the 49ers, and I know that this Raiders organization, especially Carmen Brasillo, is very excited about Dalton Wagner, because he's a mountain of a human being. So as it stands right now, this is your Raiders offensive line depth chart. And with Parker out, he was going to make this roster because he has that ability to play swing tackle, left tackle, right tackle. So it's going to be Miller makes it, Jermaine Illuminor is going to make it, Thayer Munford's going to make it, and then it comes down to Dalton Wagner, the UDFA from Arkansas, or Justin Herron. Wagner plays right tackle. Herron is more of a left tackle, can play a little right tackle, but to me, this offensive line is built more on finding players that are in the running game. And from what I saw for Herron, it's not pretty. For Dalton Wagner, as big as that player is, that's the guy that I'd be willing to take a little bit more of a chance on. Now, if you didn't already know that update, hey, man, that's what the Raiders Report here is all about. We're here to keep you updated on all things around the Las Vegas Raiders. So, if you're looking for free videos around the silver and black, I got you covered. To make sure that you never miss anything, make sure you click that subscribe button and make sure that those notifications are turned on, because when Raiders news happens, we got you covered. So again, y'all, Brandon Parker, the news is this. He has been placed on IR. He is done for the season, and in back-to-back seasons, Parker will not be a member of this Las Vegas Raiders team, which for him, best of luck to him next offseason, because I don't know what team's going to give him a chance after back-to-back years of him not playing. But I will say this, and even though Parker did not turn out to be a solid second-round pick and, was not very good of a player, we'll call it a spade, I will always wish him nothing but the best, because this is a brutal injury. So I want you guys to wish him a speedy recovery. Type those 75s down in the chat. Anytime you see a player back-to-back seasons get injured and not have the ability to go out there and showcase their talent and not be able to go out there and do what they love to do, it definitely sucks a lot. So, Brandon, I'm going to wish you nothing but the best, my guy. I know the nation is going to wish you nothing but the best as well. Type those 75s down in the chat. But with Brandon Parker being placed on the IR, that means the Raiders had an open roster spot, and that open roster spot now belongs to Isaiah Zuber, who I would say he's probably built more to be a wide receiver than he is a cornerback, and that's just my 2 cents. And he's an interesting athlete. And the way that I'm going to say this is kind of like your DJ Turner replacement, right? The Raiders, they moved on from Turner before the preseason game against the San Francisco 49ers. And we've seen the Raiders make these bottom-of-the-roster changes. Austin Walter hit IR, so what do? They went out and they signed Damian Williams. What do? They went out and got Darwin Thompson. The Raiders had to move on from Darius Harris last weekend. So what did? They brought back Kanai Malga. It's the exact same damn thing here. They move on from DJ Turner last week, and now they brought in Isaiah Zuber, a player who has been with the New England Patriots before, a player that has been on the Raiders last season practice squad, has spent some time with this organization. That is why this move ultimately ended up going down. So where exactly does Zuber fit here on this Raiders wide receiver depth chart? He's going to be at the bottom of the list, right? Like, he's also going to be right next to Cam Sims, because he's not going to make this roster. If the Raiders were going to surprise me with anybody that ends up making it, I'd say Wilkerson's got a better chance. Chris Lacey's a big receiver, but this silver and black organization is only going to keep 6 at most receivers, and that's going to be Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Hunter Renfrow, and then it's going to be DeAndre Carter, Trey Tucker. After that, it is up there in the air a little bit. However, I'm a betting man, and I'm going to bet my money on Philip Dorsett. If you're a betting man or woman out there, we got a awesome sponsorship here with the #1 sports book out there. It's BetUS. And if you want to get the best deal on the internet, you got to go to chatsports.com/Raiders. You got to use promo code Raiders125. That gets you 125% deposit bonus, which means if you're a first-time depositor, you put down $100, you're going to get $125 for free to bet with. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you want to bet on the Raiders win the AFC West. Right now they are plus 1,400 odds. That means if you risk $10 and the Raiders win the AFC West, you win $140. It's time to put your money where your mouth is. Go bet on the Raiders. It makes the season a lot more fun. Again, it is chatsports.com/Raiders. Promo code Raiders125. Let's also talk about some of the players that the Raiders brought in for workouts today. And man, I got to give a shout out to Las Vegas and Ziegler just because the amount of players that this team has been able to bring in that probably not a lot of people know too much about, but I got to give a shout out again to Scout here on Twitter, where Doug Costin, defensive tackle, he's got a career 33 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2 PBUs, 9 quarterback hits, 7 pressures, 14 run stops, and 471 snaps. Then Jonathan Garvin, he's got 32 tackles for his career, 1.5 sacks, 7 quarterback hits, 33 pressures, and 675 snaps. Isaiah Mack, more of a nose tackle, 17 tackles, 339 snaps for his career. Wyatt Ray, edge rusher, 20 tackles, 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, 347 snaps. And then you got at the very bottom, Kenny Willekes. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I look at it as almost like Kenny G. Willekers. He's got 21 tackles, 11 stops, and 202 snaps. All those stats are provided by Tristan Kuhn over on Twitter, one of my good friends, and he's been having a rough go at it. So if you could, show him some love, man. He deserves it. He works his freaking tail off. But the big notable thing here that I'm looking at is for the Raiders to bring in this much, we'll say, this many bodies in terms of workouts for their defensive line, for their defensive tackle group, it still means that they're trying to evaluate some talent on that line, which I would like to see what Rob Leonard could do with some of these players, and maybe they decide to put a few of these dudes out there during the Raiders' second preseason game against the Rams. It could also mean that they've seen enough from their current defensive tackle room, and they don't want any of those guys to get injured. Now, the reason why I made today's show was the big-time news that Brandon Parker is done for the season. He suffered an injury. From what we know right now, it is still undisclosed, but the injury was sustained in joint practices against the San Francisco 49ers. I don't know if it was on Thursday or if it was on Friday last week, but Parker is done for the second straight season. That corresponding move, then the Raiders also went out and signed Isaiah Zuber. To make sure you never miss anything around the Raiders, you want even more news, rumors, you can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on Instagram at Mitchell Renz 365. And if you need any more information on this team, you got a question, you got a comment, maybe I wasn't able to see it in the live show because we got over 900 people watching right now. These are the easiest places to be able to hit me up and find me. That's on social media. We got you covered here, Jeremy Chugs and I. If you made it this far in the video, spam Chugs down in the comments. He threw that entire show together in less than 5 to 10 minutes. Show Chugs some love.